Cathy, you've been a part of a shift in civic education or civics in American schools. Efforts really to include a person's engagement as a citizen in relationship with their community and their government. When and why did you decide to work for the Constitutional Rights Foundation, and what can you share with us about that story?
That was an amazing decade, actually. I was there from 1981 till I left in 1989 or 1990. I guess it's hard to even remember. I went there because I was ready to make a switch. I'd done a lot of work in what was then called multicultural education and developing programs at the height of the busing crisis in both Boston and LA. And it was just time to move into a different area. And this was an organization that was very, again, progressive in how they were looking at bringing the Bill of Rights to life. That was the whole idea, is to bring the Bill of Rights to life for young people and for teachers. And they brought me on to help develop different programs. And the first was helping young people understand why they ended up in correctional institutions and to do it in very innovative ways. But soon after, they segued me into a program that was called Youth Leadership for Action. It was a youth leadership program that we were beginning. And I remember I got this program, I was so excited, and I sat at my desk for a month and did nothing. I was stymied. So what does that really mean? And I went out and I interviewed students who would be in the program, and again, learned from students and listening, and realized that to be a leader, you had to be doing something of value, which meant service. So I shaped this program around the whole notion of taking this leadership skills and doing something in the community that was of impact and of influence to others. And this program caught the eye of the Ford Foundation. And they came out and were watching what we were doing with this program, Youth Leadership for Action. And they gave us funds to start what was then, about 1984, what was then the largest school-based community service program in the country, called Youth Community Service. And we ran that for many years, and it was, again, a very different kind of initiative. We were in many schools all over the Los Angeles Unified School District. Remember, it was still then called community service, and it was done more as an after-school or during lunch program because we not yet infiltrated the academic day. However, after doing this program for several years and making big impact, we did. We impacted the school day. At Grant High School, there was a teacher there who taught math who really got the ideas that was now becoming service learning. And we launched the first service learning course in Los Angeles Unified School District. I think it was around 1986 or 87. And there again, we were really getting into some brand new territory. The Constitutional Rights Foundation really had a tremendous commitment to this notion of service and really building this, what was then beginning to have a field. And along with National Youth Leadership Council and the work of Jim Kielsmeyer, we were kind of neck and neck as two leading organizations in pacing what would happen in the future of this. There were some other seminal events in that time period while I was at the Constitutional Rights Foundation. There was the National Conservation Corps movement, and they were beginning to have conferences. So one of the first conferences they had was in 1986, was in San Francisco, hosted by the San Francisco Conservation Corps. And they would have, tracks for Conservation Corps folks. It's the first time at any conference there was a K-12 track about service learning. And there were 4 people in the track. 4. Now, today at this National Service Learning Conference, we've got about 2,400 people, so let's think exponentially. But there were 4 people. Myself, Jim Kielsmeyer, Cynthia Parsons, who was the voice of Serve Vermont, and a gal named Ann, I wish I could remember her last name, who came from South Carolina to learn how we were doing youth community service in Los Angeles and took it back to Charleston. That was for the next year. We grew to 12. It was hosted elsewhere. So we started growing, and that's how the first K-12 track started. It was myself, Jim, and Cynthia were the 3 people who brought some level of expertise to this picture. And the other big event with Constitutional Rights Foundation and moving forward, because they were very forward-moving in this field, was we worked in partnership with the Chief State School Officers Association and launched the first set of national conferences around service learning. And we did this in 3 different locations with speakers such as Diane Hedin, David Hornbeck, Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, to really launch service learning. And many of the state service learning programs began through those series of conferences. CRF, or Constitutional Rights Foundation, was really a very important organization in the beginning years of service learning, and I'm thrilled I was there. You don't know at the beginning what you're doing. You're just doing the work you're doing, and then all of a sudden you look back and go, oh my gosh, look what happened. So it's very exciting as we were coming to terms with what this might look like in the field and how to really help shape it.